I attempted to make a multiplayer game in 10 days for the Pixel Game Jam. Let's see how that went. Before the jam started, I had somewhat of an idea of the game I wanted to make. I never had made a shooter game, and I never made a multiplayer game, so why not make both? In 10 days for a game jam. And then the theme came out as Aqua. So, not great. But then I thought, well, why not just make the players dolphins, throw them in the water, and give them guns, and bam, a multiplayer shooter. Although that wasn't a terrible idea, I didn't want to just take the idea I had beforehand and put some different art over it and call it a day. Game jams are supposed to be about challenging your ideas, I guess. I'm not really sure. But either way, I wanted something a little more. And then it came to me. Sharks and minnows. I don't know how many of you know that game, but basically one person starts out as the shark and everyone else is a minnow. The minnows have to get to the other side without getting tagged by the shark. If you get tagged, you become a shark, and the game continues on and on until no one is left. I think. I'm not really sure about that either. Anyways, if I make this game where one person gets to be the shark and all the other players in the lobby are minnows, I think that can make a fun game. I still liked the dolphin shooting idea, so maybe the shark will be a dolphin that can shoot at the minnows, and if you get hit, you become a shooting dolphin too. But then I was like, wait, what if someone wants to play the game by themselves? I don't want the Game Jam game to only be multiplayer. And then bam! That's when the idea hit me. What if you're a shooting dolphin and you have to protect a minnow from sharks, allowing it to cross the road? Allowing it to get to the other side. Definitely a switch up from my usual platformers, so I was excited to get to work. I started with some dynamic water sprites as the backgrounds, drew them myself, pretty proud. I like working on an actual background so that it looks nicer than just a blank color. Then I got the player moving and the fish. Basically just set waypoints for the fish should go and it goes there. It's pretty cool. Next, I wanted more than one type of shark so the game isn't the same all the time. I wanted to make one shark only go for the minnow, one shark go for the player or the minnow depending on which one is closer, and one shark only go for the player. This way the player would have to decide which shark to shoot at first and just strategically plan how to save the minnow. Once I added in the dolphin shooting, I also had a plan to limit the bullet count and reload count per level so the player couldn't just spam bullets. If we fast forward a little bit to the end of the game jam before we go back to the timeline, I didn't add the bullet count or the reload count per level because I wanted to allow the player to basically just spam bullets. I did this because when people play your game during a game jam, if it is immediately too hard, they would just stop playing it. But sometimes if it's too easy and still fun and the ideas and sprites are good, they'll play the game for a while. Also meant less testing. After that, I created sprites with a lighter blue water that sort of fades into the ocean, and these sprites would mark the path the minnow would take across the screen. I felt like this was necessary for the game as I didn't want the minnow to take unexpected turns that would feel unfair to the player. And then I spent some time grinding out levels, creating a different path for the minnow, adding more sharks, different start spots for the dolphin, and just little tweaks until I had 10 levels that I felt got increasingly harder and were pretty fun. And then I wanted to take a crack at multiplayer. For the multiplayer game mode, I wanted to make sharks and minnows. The starting shark would have to shoot at and try and catch the minnows running across the screen, and each time a minnow was caught, they would join the sharks. For some reason, this was the first time I looked further into the sponsor and the services it provided, and realized it was more for party games. I also realized that the name Playroom made a lot more sense now. I mean, it still supported multiplayer, just not the multiplayer I was expecting. It's more of like a lobby where you invite people instead of just loading into a game. And it's probably for the best though, as there were only a few days left at this point, and I wouldn't have too much time to work on the game because of outside stuff, and I still needed to polish and do some time-consuming things for publishing. So if you're waiting this whole time for a multiplayer game, this one did not end up being a multiplayer game, but make sure to comment if you still want me to make that game or I like that idea, because I thought it was a pretty good idea. And also like and subscribe because you made it this far, which means you've enjoyed what you've seen. You don't have to, just a thought. Anyways, then I polished the game heavily, added some scene transitions, some UI, a lot of UI, all the menus, game UI, background music, sound effects, and everything that makes a game, well, a game. When I was happy where the game was at, I made some cover art, took some screenshots, and submitted my entry to the jam. Most of the feedback was positive, so we will see how well I score. If I happen to get this video up before the jam ends, you can check it out in the link below and see what place I came in, or I'll tell you if it's out already. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to comment if you want to see the multiplayer game, and subscribe. It can't hurt.